Hello students, we are on Class Amphibia of Phylum Chordata, and in the last lecture we have completed the general characteristics of Class Amphibia. In this lecture we are going to discuss some important examples of Class Amphibia. Let's take the first example, the common Indian frog Rana. Rana tigrina. Rana tigrina used to be its earlier scientific name. Now it has been renamed to Hoplobatrachus tigerinus. This is its modern name. Its skin is moist, glandular, vascular, and it engages in cutaneous respiration through skin. Sexual dimorphism is present. That means males and females will show some structural differences in them. You know that the frogs have two pairs of limbs, forelimbs and the hindlimbs. The forelimbs will have 4 digits and the hindlimbs will have 5 digits, which will have webs in between them. The male frogs out of these will have some paddings kind of along the sides of the first digits, cushion kind of paddings, which will enable them to grasp the female properly when they are mating in the water. When the male is hugging the female, that is called as the mating embrace, also called as Amplexus. During Amplexus, when the male is holding the female underneath the water, these paddings along the sides of the first digits of the forelimbs will enable the male to grasp the female properly. These cushion-like paddings on the first digits of the forelimbs of the male frogs are called as nuptial pads. Nuptial pads on the sides of first digits of forelimbs. What is the function? Grasping the female during amplexus. Amplexus means mating embrace. The second feature that the male frogs have is presence of vocal sacs, which will enlarge due to filling up of air. These vocal sacs will greatly amplify the croaking sounds that they make during the mating season. So presence of vocal sacs is another feature. The function is amplify croaking sounds during breeding season. Digits, forelimbs will have 4 digits. Hind limbs will have 5 digits, which will be webbed. They will have kind of webs between the digits, which will help them in swimming. Tympanum represents ear. Then nictitating membrane, which will protect their eyes, and it is known as the third eyelid. Along with the 2 eyelids that they have, they will have a third eyelid, which is called the nictitating membrane, which will protect their eyes under the water when they keep their eyes open. Cloaca is present and they are mostly diurnal. Did you know that frogs have the ability to change their colors according to the environment to help them to camouflage with the environment? Yes, not as much as the chameleon in reptiles, but they still are able to change their colors. This property is called as metachrosis, ability to change colors to camouflage in environment. So these were the characteristic features of Rana tigrina, the common Indian frog. Let's do the second example, Bufo, also called as the toad. Bufo also looks very much like a frog, but there are some differences between the frog and the toad. So what are the differences? Let's see one by one. First of all, there is a difference in the habitat. The frog lives nearby water, but the toad is mostly terrestrial and it will return to water only for laying eggs. But otherwise, it is a terrestrial amphibia. Next, skin. The skin of the frog is moist, glandular, vascular. However, the skin of the toad is not moist. In fact, it is very dry, warty kind of skin. It is non-glandular. Skin glands in case of the frog are mostly mucus glands. Most of the glands on the toad skin are mainly poison glands. And one prominent poison gland that it is known for is the parotid gland. This is the tympanum, and just behind the tympanum there is this huge gland called as the parotid gland. Nothing to do with the parotid salivary glands that the humans have. Okay, it's a skin gland and it produces a toxin called as Bufo toxin, which it uses for defense. If a predator catches hold of the toad, this parotid glands will release this toxin immediately and it will affect the predator immediately. Okay, the predator is going to spit the toad out of its mouth because it will give a very stinging kind of sensation to the predator. Parotid gland is known to secrete bufotoxin, which the toad uses for defense. When it comes to size, the frog is very slender and thin, and the toad is quite broad in size. Digits. The digits of frog are webbed because it is meant to live an aquatic lifestyle, so it needs them for swimming. And since the toad lives a terrestrial lifestyle, its digits are not webbed. The tips of the digits are very soft in case of the frog, but the tips are quite cornified or horny in case of the toad, okay, because it enables it to dig. Finally, the frog is diurnal, but the toad is a nocturnal animal. So these are the differences between the frog and the toad. Bufo. The things that are most important to remember are these parotid glands which secrete bufotoxin. Let's move on to the third example. Salamanders. The salamanders are of different types, but the thing to remember about them is that they have a lizard-like body with a tail. Tail is not lost. They also have the larval stage, which then becomes the adult. The tadpole larva will have the tail, and so will the adult. Tadpole larva has a tail which becomes the adult, which also has the tail. Tadpole larva is aquatic and this one is terrestrial, and in some salamanders the adults are also aquatic. Okay, rare cases. We will discuss these. The tadpole larva are known to have external gills. So the gills will be outside the pharynx. Okay, feathery kind of appearance it will give them. Outside body. External gills are absent in case of the adults, but there are some exceptions to this rule which we will see shortly. Example, Salamandra, commonly called as the fire salamander. Ambystoma, the tiger salamander. Necturus, also called as mud puppy. Three different types of salamanders. We are going to look at Ambystoma and Necturus in some more detail. Now normally you see the tadpole becomes the adult. The tadpole is aquatic, it is tailed, and it will become an adult. This process of conversion of the tadpole into the adult, you know what this process is called, right? What is it called? It's called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis process requires the presence of iodine in water. Why is iodine required in the surrounding water? So that the larva can synthesize thyroxine hormone, which is very essential for the metamorphosis process. Now imagine what will happen if iodine is absent in the water. What will happen if iodine is absent in water? The salamander larva will not be able to produce thyroxine hormone. In that case, what will the larva do? A unique kind of feature is shown by the ambystoma larva. What happens is, in ambystoma tadpole larva, if iodine is absent, what it will do is there will be no metamorphosis, and this tadpole larva will become an adult. This adult will look like a larva only. It will retain all the larval kind of features. The adult in this case will look exactly like the larva. It will retain its aquatic nature, it will retain the external gills, etc. and it will be able to reproduce as well. It's just that it was not able to metamorphose because of lack of iodine in the surrounding waters. But so what? It is still able to become an adult. This adult that becomes is known as the axolotl larva. Axolotl larva. And this axolotl larva retains all larval features. What are the larval features that it retains? Aquatic nature, external gills. It will be able to retain. Plus, it will also reproduce. So two things here. Axolotl larva will retain all the larval features, and second thing, it will be able to reproduce. This property of the adult being able to retain all the larval features, this property is known as neoteny. Neo means new or young. Teny means retaining youth. This property of the larva being able to reproduce, this is known as pedogenesis. Pedo means young or child. Genesis means reproduce. It's as if the child is reproducing, but it's actually an adult that looks like the larva. So these are the things that you must know for axolotl larva. This is important for AIMS. Next we'll see about Necturus. In case of Necturus, which is also called as the mud puppy, in Necturus, by default the thyroxine action is very low in the body, by default only. So even if lots of iodine is available in the water, it will not be able to synthesize enough thyroxine hormone. Its tadpole larva will not be able to synthesize a lot of thyroxine hormone even if iodine is available in the surrounding waters. As a result, what will happen? This tadpole larva of Necturus will compulsorily become an adult that retains all the larval characters. This tadpole larva of Necturus will compulsorily or obligately undergo neoteny and become an adult that looks just like the larva with external gills and aquatic nature. Tadpole compulsorily undergoes neoteny. Therefore, adult will be entirely aquatic and it will have presence of external gills. So it is known to show compulsory neoteny. There will be obviously pedogenesis as well. Neoteny is retention of larval characters by adult, and pedogenesis means reproduction of young ones by larval stage. By larval stage as in someone who looks like a larva. With these three examples we complete this particular lecture. There are three more examples to be discussed. We will continue in the next video.
In the name of Lord Mahadev, please subscribe.